They there are places that fix phones, right? At least if you know that getting into opening one up, if you've done it before and you know how difficult it can be, if you're not the person to do that and you bought the right phone that is like hard enclosed into its own shit, that you need very special tools to even open it, and you don't have those at all, you shouldn't do it, right? I'm talking myself up into the reality of um, letting someone else fix the fucking power cord thing. Not even now, in the future. In a future that exists, possibly now, that wouldn't exist before. I would be opening it up, and there would be pieces of it everywhere all around me. It would be a mistake, and I would have a lot of the rest of the internal pieces following me for the rest of my life. A little here, a little there, like a serial killer that discovers the insides of its victim and makes use of them, making sacks and lampshades and crazy shit like that. That people are, at least the lampshade is something I know that the psychopaths have made out of people's skin, and it made it into the story. Where isn't that horrible? Isn't it horrible that you wouldn't notice that's a dead person's skin on the lampshade? Of all the things to make a lampshade out of, isn't that a little bit the most sick? Because you're putting light through it and it's going to, you know, taint the light. That actually made it into the other video that when I went to go edit it, it had 12 seconds. It was the last 12 seconds I had to talk where it said, it was the final warning. So it just destroys the other video. It's gone. You know, how? I don't know. I'm not sure how it even does that. Why would it do that? Like, what then? Wouldn't it just have freed itself of all the new space? You would think it would at least just delete the old, turn it into space, and then have it, and then you would keep going through the loop until you realize that the final warning was your final warning. You got 12 seconds of video now, motherfucker. And it was a weird 12 seconds, I'll tell you. Very weird. The cat was over here. She was tickling on her face to my knee. And I locked into my fucking video and I didn't grab for the water. And have already made a very funny adjustment accordingly in this case. Just like Old Lady Cat. Old Lady Cat became Mr. Cat for Younger Cat, which was hilarious. I thought it was funny. I still think it's funny. I watch, it's funny and sad in a way, but not just really funny to me, because when I was saying goodnight to Cat last night, I got to leave her in the competent arms of Mr. No Dick Cat Senior, and I was going to get the camera and get a picture of it, and because she saw me watching, she began to adjust her. You get after doing the business, it makes your hair all wild and crazy. You gotta fix it. You gotta fix it. If you're not locked in with your wiener into your mate, well then you're free to move around. You could just step right back, and there's no harm, no foul, right? It's not well. If you've got a penis, that's not really the truth at all. That's not really how it works. So you can appreciate and even get more laughter out of the experience had you seen what I saw, because it was adjust your hair and makeup, because cameras, was going to be involved. Oh, you're going to get this on film? Let me adjust myself. That was exactly what it felt like. I don't know what happens to videos. Fortunately, here's the thing that's more fucked up about the phones, that's useful to me, at least, that I know how it is. The phones, the bottom buttons where you have the go back and the three main buttons that you have on all your phones, on both the devices that I used, they were opposite directions. And my dyslexia would be engaged and working that. And I do have enough of the dyslexia to know that that's not a lie or a misappropriated truth. It's a minor adjustment that you have to occur, but it does train your brain. Like if you were to try to write with both hands, or if you were to try to write backwards with your predominant hand, it would exercise your other hemisphere of your brain, and it absolutely would. Because their processes are not completely disconnected. It's not like you've got one fucking thing going on over here, one thing going on over here. It's more accurate to say that there is a mirroring going on, and the functions of the two are primarily concerned with A and B. Does that make sense? You think your ego's over here, like it has nothing to do with the other side, which is non-personal ego. God consciousness is the right brain, not division processes and me, math. It's art, it's science, it's color, it's fucking music. It's all the shit that's not fucking concrete. And no, they're not one better than the other. They are together. They are equal and opposite in some respect. But that being the respect, they're the same because it is the content of your life, the ability to take a thing and hold it requires you to have the thing to do that with. You know, there's a conceptual it that you could mess with and then adjust that. And that's part of the process of it being a thing and can be produced. You would work on your blueprint of it before you put it into production and then have it. So you would have to adjust the non-physical form to to get the physical form the way you wanted it. Does that make sense? Because I hope so. Is it meowing in my? I'm supposed to shut my door. I keep my door closed so that. And you failed. Who you calling in there? Getting all distant with the sound. Nobody. No animal other than that squirrel. I should have recognized the squirrel as a messenger. I should have known. Because the person that told me that hid the fact it was a squirrel, that's not their gift. Their gift is not hiding information. That should have been my first clue. That is not their gift. I knew it wasn't a dog. And I thought the name stood out, but I didn't say nothing about it. I just heard it referred to a couple times. And if you have if you have a certain goal with a person who's a problem, and they're like their problem has already been hammered into them, so it's like you're not expecting there to be any change, but you're resistant to whatever bullshit is their main weapon. You know what I mean? You're not gonna. I'm not. I don't. I don't. I can't co-sign bullshit. It doesn't. It's not. It's not. It's not my strong suit. It's not. I don't have pity parties, and I'll be alone before that, which is the case. So that's fine. But my dad is friends with or I guess is not dead. That doesn't die, right? It's weird. The mom is like so negative. This woman is so negative that when she would come over, it was like I couldn't even be around the conversation. I didn't understand how my dad could take it, and it affected me the way that it did because I had to get the fuck out of the rooms type of shit. That's the different styles of people that I'm talking about going on. Well, now I didn't have any problem. It doesn't bother me anymore. I don't know. It's without it actually fixing something. I don't understand how the problem's gone because it's not gone. The person's not changed. They're not. They're just closer to death. That's not something to rejoice about, but it does make a conversation where you don't have anything else to say, and you may avoid saying that. Well, at least with cancer, you're closer to death, right? That's not the positive you think it is. I know. I know. That would not be accept. That's not the reason. That's why you can't in society assume anything about the pre-life or the post-life situation because who knows what dot you may be connecting with that type of shit, and you don't want to do it wrong. You just don't. That should be one thing we should be politically correct if you can be and you would want to be, and it's not a political correct thing, I don't think, at all. It's almost like one of the things that's like common sense but lost on the idiot savant, which would be me. It was lost on me because there's a more deeper um, awareness of the pre-existing world's existence that's deeper, that will cause it to be seen in some sort of way. This would be the ultimate way you would find it, though. It'd be like, well, you're closer to victory because you're going to die. So you're about to find out anyway. So what's the point in even telling you? You'll know. You'll see here in a minute. You know, it's a weird flag to fly. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's not nobody that even thinks there's anything else wants death without there being like extreme suffering in every moment of their life. They probably are wanting to die. You don't want to live that life. You don't want to. Fuck, I wouldn't want to live if I had to drag my legs around like the little squirrel. And then I had to actually look up how old or what. I was like, what is see? Because animals are so vastly different in what their range of life is that you think you know one. Maybe you do. Maybe you know how old cat can get. That's not going to help you know the age of any other animal. You think it does, and it don't. I'm telling you right now, it doesn't. You're probably not going to be able to guess how old squirrels live without having anything to go on. How old do you think a squirrel lives to be? Would you say 6 years? Would you think a paralyzed two back of its legs squirrel would have a 10-year lifespan? Almost double what the fucking natural lifespan of a squirrel would be? Doesn't that seem a little fucked up? That's what it says. It says a paraplegic squirrel can live up to 10 years. And I was like, why is the normal free living in his world having his nuts squirrel fucking live? I don't know. I think maybe because once you have a crippled, um, it's got human help. Like that would be definitely considering it having aid from the human world because I don't think it didn't say that their lives. Yeah, I broke my legs. I'll live twice as long. That's not logical at all. Nobody would even think that in any way, shape, or form that would be helping them with their span of life. Oh, I'll kill my legs, so I'll definitely get that life into my upper body. No, nobody thinks that way. It's not right. It doesn't work out. Just saying. Just saying. But I looked it up. It did say those things. That's what it said for squirrel. I didn't know. Sometimes I don't know, and I have to look back up a cat to see what the lifespan is, and then dog. A lot of weird teachings that went to fringe places. One of them was for this girl, and I really liked her. I don't know what happened to her. She disappeared. and was crazy. Like another type of crazy that you don't often see that can be good and bad. I don't really have much in the good category box because I got overwhelmed with the bad one evening talking to an incarnated black gentlemen that weren't there in some capacity through their body. I'm like, this is you're. I was like, this is really running down the playtime or whatever it destroyed the usefulness of whatever time was left because it was very creepy. You just can't unsee it, and it's true. I mean, if you have a body and it could be operated from either yourself, whatever that is, you think it's inside of you. I would say no to that shit. But if it is, that would make a lot more sense to people. But if your field's bigger, your field would be around it and it could operate it like that. But if you have some other entity operating someone so much so that their own voice changes to that voice, that's going to creep you out. It'll creep you the fuck out. It just will because it's gross. It's gross. If it's a hot blonde chick and then it's a black old man, that's going to ruin it for you because the blonde hot chick in her physical body isn't going to be that for you again. I'll tell you now, unless something's wrong with you, maybe you're okay with that. I'm sure there's a lot more people that might be fine with that than me. But for me, it was done. It ended at that instance. It was very strange. But the person got hurt one time, and it kicked them into an altered state where they were communicating to me at long range. Not very far. They were down the street over at Wayne's place, but she stepped on a nail and was bleeding, and then somehow ended up in telepathic communication with me because I didn't talk to her, but I did. She remembers and brought it up, and like I was able to assist her to tell her to get her fucking foot taken care of before making phone calls in the spirit world, and she did. And that was just one small example of how you're already connected psychically or whatever with whoever you know. But there are people that are more psychic than you all the time, and they would be already communicating with you most of the time if you're somebody they know. So it wouldn't surprise you to call that person if that's what they do, if that makes sense. You will already find yourself there, I should say. Like we don't need these devices to do this what we're doing, but this is the age and time that we're in, where these are the things we use. You know, if I need to make a phone call, I use my fucking phone. I could telepathically phone call somebody all I want. They're not going to have a receiver if they don't have a receiver. They might think about me and then go about their business. It's not going to rescue me. You see what I'm saying? It could cause more of a problem in that condition than it would be any solution or proof. You know what I mean? I need to tell you that you could do what you're doing on your phone without your phone with your physical body's capacities. I mean, what good would that do to tell you in a world that um, it's silly. It's almost silly. But the main point of the other video was to be like the island that is now for the Earth. We're in the change of the Earth is the heart, and a lot of things that make the heart the same as great of a rescue place as being outside of the body and past this experience back home, whatever you want to say, is the weird, strange conditions of the heart being love. Not that weird, creepy love, actual love, actual whatever it is enabled by acceptance in that way, not a foolishness. It's coupled to the next chakra up in a way that makes a more of a bigger system than is uh, put in the seven chakras. You got green and then you got blue above it. Well, the blue above it is a part of the green in the heart. That's advanced teaching, though. That is the furtherance of one into wisdom is wisdom because it's love and it accepts everything. So it's taken everything into consideration. If you take everything into consideration, then you can have the wisdom to understand what then to do with anything that you could consider. It's the avoiding considering error that the negative side exploits that actually ends their progress because it doesn't consider. It was said to be wishful thinking in a direction that wasn't real in any sort of way at all. And that really was like the most craziest thing I ever heard of a shutdown for the negative side because someone was saying how they're getting how they're exploiting and harvesting the energy while traveling back in time and adjusting shit and doing this, that, and the other, and then they still ended themselves. And they're like, well, how did they end themselves if they were doing all that without, you know, consequence? And it was said that they had it was wishful thinking in a very limited way. It was that it just slammed what they did to the ground, despite all the fucking bells and whistles the negative side does have by taking and pillaging and not operating correctly, stealing, uh, all that. It just shuts them down at the next level up because there's nowhere else to go. Look, great, good job, you killed everyone and you dominated the world. Now you're alone. Good job. Basically, the final cut is that. It's in spoiler alert. You know, that's fucked up. So it's not really that. That's not the way to go. You wouldn't be able to have friends anyway. You think you got your little bang of thieves that you know them? You'd have to destroy and dominate them to such a degree as to be God over them. Every one of them's got to be that way. The only one that graduates is the one that comes to that conclusion. 95% negative to self, negative self. That's a big extreme. But like, and it's weird because in the raw material where they ask them certain questions about different people in the past, like Hitler and fucking Genghis Khan, and they go into that. They do go into that, and it's very interesting. What like Aleister Crowley was supposed to be a positive being and got twisted, warped in his own shit, and fucked his is still in recovery in the spirit world. He ain't reincarnated yet. He's still getting worked on. He's still in the hospital with Hitler. Yeah, in the spirit world hospital, getting recovery. Not hell. Not hell. Recovery. Not to say there's not a form of that. There definitely is. There's definitely a form of that. It's called Saturn. It's a nice place to visit from the rings, but you wouldn't want to live there. Nope. No way. No. So would be the sun. Were you able to dance in its plasmas, you might meet some friends, but without making some sort of drastic fucking change in your program into plasma life, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. The form you're in now is just not going to be suited for that shit. And it's going to melt and burn away before you even get close to it. So it's like that is more a reality and true. I mean, fucking come on now. Material body. You know, we're in school for being life in every form you can get, in different stages and degrees, up in intensity and energy, all the way, baby. It's got its plus and minuses. No shit. But overall, it's excellent. It's wonderful. It's wonderful because Earth is the most. You get more experience on Earth per life. You had to be somebody special to be here because the line was too long for just any motherfucker. So take that as you want. You don't believe that? Then you don't believe in yourself. You got to be somebody special to be in the line. You didn't just happen here, dummy. Okay, there's your. That's a jab at any other person that doesn't believe something about this experience. So there. Hope you enjoy it. I've exceeded my ability. Put your fucking thing to my other phone. It would turn it back every time. I would change this phone storage camera to memory card, the exact one that's in this phone now, and after a single time, it would just go back to phone storage. That's that phone's problem. That doesn't turn on because the battery's dead and you can't charge it. Different phone. This one's completely different in its whole setup and how to use it, which is triggering my dyslexia to have to use it primarily, but whatever. You know, far better than not having a phone that's even on. But not so good if you just paid your bill and adjusted all the